with your Pro-Life Gen News Live. I know it's late. It's been a long day, but we have a lot of news to cover, especially from the end of last week. All right, first story I want to talk about is Standing with Her Sunday is coming up. It's the end of this month. I'm pulling up the date as we look because I just know it's the last Sunday of the month. So it's Sunday, August 27th. Go to standingwithhersunday.org right now. Make sure you have RSVP'd to either host Staying with Her Sunday, the national simulcast at your church, your parish, your small group, or maybe just tune in yourself or a couple of friends at your house. Former Dolls singer is going to be joining us, Kaya Jones. Focus on the Family president, Jim Daly, is going to be there. It's going to be an amazing night equipping Christians across America and how to serve women, protect children now in this post-Roe era. I cannot wait for this event. It's a follow-up to a very successful inaugural Standing with Her Sunday last year, but this whole thing relies on you and your help in getting your church, your parish to sponsor this event so we can get Christians across America joining our pro-life movement. All right, standingwithhersunday.org. If you sign up and to host, you get like a free kit. You get all the stuff. We send you all the stuff. It's super easy. All right, another article I want to bring up is at The Nation. This is, I can't believe I have to read some of these article titles. My breastfeeding journey would not have been possible without my abortions. So this mother says because she had two previous abortions, uh, one when she was poor, one when she had a toxic work environment that wouldn't have let her breastfeed, which is wrong. We all know that. Um, she she wouldn't have been able to breastfeed had she given birth to her children because of those situations. Therefore, it was better to abort them. But now, because she had those two abortions, she was able to have this baby, her third baby, and now she's in a time and place where she can breastfeed her baby. Regardless of whether or not you can breastfeed your child, does not negate their right to fundamentally be born and not be killed in the womb. Full stop. Like, that's it. If you can't breastfeed your child, whether it's because of economic factors, because you have a jerk boss, which, by the way, you should sue. If you can't breastfeed your child, that is not an excuse to pay someone to end the life of your child. I can't believe I have to read some of these like news headlines to you guys because these articles are crazy. All right. Another article, speaking of crazy, in Fox News, and this is I saw on Reddit as well, a British vet sounds the alarm after he's been arrested for silently praying outside of an abortion facility in the UK. This is crazy. So I was reading about this buffer zone that they've passed in the UK. The buffer zone is not only is it like immediately in front of the abortion clinic, it actually covers 6 streets around the abortion facility, 12 hours a day, where you can't even now silently pray, not talk to anybody, nothing, just silently pray. If this police think that you are silently praying, they can now arrest you. This Army vet who actually served in Afghanistan, served for 20 years in the UK Army Reserves, is now having to go to court to say that he did not commit a criminal act by silently praying. Silently praying. It's unbelievable. His quote was, I served for 20 years in the Army Reserves, including a tour in Afghanistan, protect the fundamental freedoms that this country is built upon. I continue that spirit of service as a healthcare professional, as a church volunteer. It troubles me greatly to see our freedoms erode to the extent that thought crimes are now being persecuted in the UK. It's unbelievable. And what's really sad about this story is he's there as a way to do basically penance for paying for his girlfriend's abortion, for aborting his son. He's there remembering his own son. This is just it's just getting insane anymore. All right. Last week, myself and Students for Life's Executive Vice President Tia Whittington had an op-ed in Daily Caller. If you haven't seen it, you need to click the link on social media. I'm not judging. I know you're busy. Make sure you Google it. Go to this link. It's a good article. Well, obviously, it's good. I wrote it, but no, it's an important article because it talks about the extremism of Joe Biden's FDA. You remember like when Joe Biden was running for president and your friends and family were like, well, I'm probably going to vote for Joe Biden because I don't like Donald Trump and things just need to get back to normal. And like people were thinking like good old Joe Biden was just going to like create like this like go back to normal Washington D.C. where people weren't like being mean to each other on Twitter and things like that. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. When Joe Biden was elected president, it ushered in this wave of extremism into Washington D.C. That's more extreme than ever before. In fact, it's more extreme than President Obama's FDA. So like when President Obama was president, now while he was president, he was the most extreme pro-abortion president ever because he like when he was state senator in Illinois didn't even vote against the bill that would make infanticide illegal. Okay, so we were like, he's the most extreme pro-abortion president ever. Joe Biden was like literally hold my beer. But during Obama's presidency, the FDA argued, said, look, we shouldn't be putting birth control pills over the counter, Plan B, which is like the cousin of the birth control pill over the counter, because these things can be dangerous for women, young girls, because sex predators can use them to continue their abuse. And by the way, to get prescribed birth control pills or Plan B, you really should have a doctor like, sit down with a woman, explain her health risks, make sure she doesn't have other pre-existing conditions. Like President Obama even understood this and he even talked about it in the context of him being a parent and with his young girls, that he should have a say or he should at least know what's happening in his young daughter's lives. Well, not anymore. The left, that is passe. You can't say that anymore. So check out our op-ed. We talk about this changing tide within the left. They are not going to be, happy until every single woman, no matter her age, even if she's 8 years old, can go into a Walgreens and get a chemical abortion pill, taxpayer funded. Like that's where this is going, people. It's not going to stop. It's not like, oh, we're just going to put like a little birth control, over the counter. No. They're not going to stop with that. And we know it's Plan B, birth control, chemical abortion. It's all tied in together. All right, so what is next on the list? Oh, another op-ed from Fox News. AI will fuel disturbing build a child industry. I mean, okay, if you guys ever watched Gattaca, I had to watch it in college. It was like part of this morality through movies class. I thought it was going to be easy class. It ended up actually being kind of hard. But anyway, first movie we had to watch was Gattaca with Ethan Hawke. And if you're like under 30, you've probably never heard of it. That's okay. You could probably see it on like Netflix or Amazon Prime. Just look it up. It's a pretty good movie. Jude Law's in it. Like famous people are in it. It's not a weird movie. But that's exactly what this is happening. What AI, what IVF, this is all turning into the movie Gattaca. 75% of IVF clinics in America now offer genetic testing. There are no, let me be very clear with this. There is no like national law that tells IVF clinics how to ethically behave. So you can go into an IVF clinic and say, I only want a boy. I only want a white boy. I only want a white boy with blue eyes. And they can tell you, sure, we can do that. And this article actually talks about how white children, high IQ, blue and green eyes, that's what most parents say that they want. This whole article is about this AI app that you can put your picture of yourself and your partner, let you envision yourself as parents because it tells you what your kids can look like. But the whole point is they're not going to stop there. We're using AI, using already the prenatal genetic testing that's done in IVF clinics. I mean, they do this all the time with children who have, whose parents, for example, have tested positive to carry certain genes. So my husband and I both carry a recessive gene for cystic fibrosis. One of the things that a lot of CF teams have on their team, one of the people, I guess you should say, they have on our team is a geneticist. Why do you need a geneticist, you might ask, for a team that's supposed to be caring and prolonging the life of my children? Because the recommended course of action is if you already have a child with CF, by accident, then you can use IVF to, create new human beings, screen out, i.e. look to see those new human beings, those embryos, which ones have CF and which ones don't. And you can screen out the children with IVF. You can donate them to research, so they can be experimented upon until they die, or you can throw them away. That way you don't make another mistake of having another kid with cystic fibrosis. Yeah, this happens all the time. This is like real life eugenics, and it happens every single day across our nation. Check out the movie Gattaca, because the article will make a lot more sense to you. All right. So GOP lawmakers have called for an investigation of Planned Parenthood receiving COVID-19 relief money. This is an interesting story because it was actually a big deal in 2000, 2001. So there was this CARES Act. So employers could request money if they had government money, taxpayer money for you and I, if they had lost business, lost income revenues during COVID. Okay, just a little bit of socialism, but whatever. Um, Planned Parenthood, though, was actually not allowed, wasn't supposed to be able to apply because they kill babies. And there was like a specific thing that they weren't able to do that. Plus, they're part of like this $1 billion conglomerate. They're not like a small business, right? They have like 79 affiliates, but like they're like $1 billion business, $2 billion business. Well, they applied and got like $20 million by accident. I have a hard time believing it was by accident. It was probably some career employee at Department of Commerce or small business or wherever these funds were being released out of, who was probably pro-abortion, which, because those, a lot of the folks that work in the government, I used to work in the government. There's the people that are appointed by the presidential administration appointees, which I was, and then there's what we call careers, people that are there no matter the administration. The careers in the government are, they all live in Washington D.C. and they are overwhelmingly liberal, like hands down. It doesn't matter. And the thing is, it doesn't even matter if it's a Republican administration, which it was during this time. There was the Trump administration was in power. It doesn't matter because the careers are still there, and the careers, they handle a lot of the day-to-day business, because the political appointees, they come and go every 4 years or 8 years. Okay, so just a little bit of background information for how messed up our bureaucracy is. But yeah, so they got applications, and $20 million of our taxpayer funds went to Planned Parenthood. We made a big stink about this in the pro-life movement when it happened, and then like there was like no investigation. So they're reopening up this investigation. Republicans led by Senator James Langford, one of my heroes. He's a senator from Oklahoma. He's kind of leading this effort. Hopefully some good comes out of this. All right, last story. So tomorrow, Tuesday, August 8th, there's an important vote in Ohio. If you have family and friends in Ohio, I've already done my text messaging. If you have family and friends in Ohio, you better get on your phone right now, start texting them, tell them make sure to get to the polls tomorrow and vote yes on issue 1. Why is issue 1 important? It doesn't, talk about abortion or anything. Issue 1 simply says if you want to pass a constitutional amendment to the actual Constitution of Ohio, you've got to have more than like 51% of the vote. You've got to have 60% of the vote. Why is this important? Well, the abortion lobby has already spent tens of millions of dollars for a November ballot initiative that would wipe out all pro-life laws in the state of Ohio, make abortion legal up until the moment of birth. It's crazy. Plus, it goes further than that because it negates the rights of parents. And so parents now will not have a say with like transgender wrong sex hormones that their kids could be receiving, or surgeries, because it's like a broad scope, like anybody can do whatever they want when it comes to their body, their baby's body, their baby's resides within them. And it doesn't matter the age. So if you're a minor, you don't even have to like tell your parents or inform your parents you're going to kill their grandchildren, or that you're going to start taking drugs that can make you sterile for the rest of your life. Like it's a huge ballot initiative. It's happening in Ohio this November. So tomorrow's vote is really important because the abortion lobby led by, and this is really being led by the ACLU, is coming and spending all this money confusing voters in Ohio about what's really at stake. We need to make sure we raise that threshold to stop these special interest leftist organizations from going into Ohio, and more importantly, going into your state to change your state constitution. Because you might be asking yourself, why does Ohio matter? Ohio matters because it's a test ground for 2024. The abortion lobby realizes Planned Parenthood's smart. They're not stupid people, okay? Like, they've been killing babies and getting away with it for like decades. They know what they're doing. What's interesting about these ballot referendums and why they're pushing them. There's already, I think, like 9 that we think that's going to happen in like red states next year, states that have mostly eliminated abortion. They're pushing for these constitutional ballot referendums. Why do they like them? Well, because they have a lot of money and they can go into a state. They know they can't elect lawmakers who have to be held accountable by their voters, because then people figure out what's going on and get really mad at those lawmakers and vote them out. They're pro-choice. But they realize they could probably do a ballot initiative that's talked about once and not talked about again, and they can confuse people, like in Michigan and in Kansas, the way that things are written, it's confusing people, and they can use all their money to do like nice TV ads and print mailings that can just completely overwhelm the pro-life movement. But you have to ask yourself, and I've been asking myself this: why do they care about Ohio? I mean, they're doing all these abortions in Illinois and New York and California, getting their money. Why do they care? I think this is it, because they realize very soon, if things carry on the way they're going with Students for Life Action, all the work that Parliament's doing in state legislatures to, either completely prevent abortion or mostly prevent abortion in the states, we are very soon going to have a situation where we have half of the states in America are going to be free to be born, the other half are going to be free to kill. And I think they very smartly realize that culturally, that's not going to work. At the end of the day, one of the two behaviors or attitudes is going to win out. You can't have half America free to be born, the other half free to kill. And so their ideology dictates that now they're going to have to go into states like Arkansas, which passed Students for Life's like first big victory at the state house, a Life and Conception Act. That's, there's no abortions now in the state of Arkansas. Now they want to do a ballot initiative in Arkansas. So we've got a fight in Ohio, and this is a fight that the entire pro-life movement needs to be paying attention to. So tomorrow, tell everyone you know in Ohio to vote yes on issue 1, which would raise the threshold for changing the state's constitution. And there's going to be a lot more to come when you get closer to this November in Ohio. Thank you all for the news. I know it's late. I'm so sorry. But hopefully I'll come back later this week and give you some more updates and maybe some good news for